Welcome to another episode of Ask Dr. John, a father and daughter conversation series about my dad, Dr. John F. Leake's book, American Change Agent: A Life and Legacy of Seeking Diversity, Equality, and Inclusion. Today's episode focuses on what it was like for young Dr. John in the 1940s and 50s in Washington, D.C. How are you, Dr. John?
I'm fine and looking forward to talking about and going back and thinking about those years, which, by the way, were really nice. I mean, I it was a very enjoyable period. It was a period when uh, life was good. Life was really nice.
Good that you have these memories. All right, y'all. Before we dive into this conversation, I just want to point out a few things. My dad was born in Indianapolis, Indiana in 1939, and he stayed there with his parents, John and Frederica Leake, for several years. They moved to Washington in the 40s. And so I want to start by saying to you, Dr. John, what was it like growing up in DC during the 40s and the 50s for a young African American boy?
Well, as I say, life was good. Now, Washington, D.C. in the 40s and the 50s, at least for me, um, consisted primarily of a segment of Washington, D.C. Some folks who may be listening to this will remember what it was like on on U Street or Florida Avenue, because that was almost like the Renaissance that we talk about in New York, because all of the wonderful entertainment and the businesses that were black owned. Uh, I mentioned just a few that start with the theaters, because um, I went to all of those theaters because I was quite a movie goer. I would go to the Lincoln and the Republic, and the Booker T. And then there were some others that were closer to where I lived, the Gym Theater, and the Broadway Theater. And I can remember how nice it was, because I had one of my classmates in elementary school. His mother was the took the tickets and so forth at the Republic Theater, and so naturally that meant he and I, Ronald, we didn't have to pay to go to that theater, because we just go up and she'd give us the ticket and we'd go right on in. Uh, but the other theater, which more people know about and remember, was the Howard Theater. And that's where the stage shows were. And anybody who was anybody, they would appear at the Howard Theater. And at that time, and even as I got a little older, uh, you could go to the Howard Theater and you would see Smokey and anybody else, all of the wonderful singing groups, and you only paid a dollar and a half. And that I know that that seems crazy with what people pay now to go see top talent. There were also a lot of nice restaurants, and I know my parents always enjoyed going out to dinner. And one of the restaurants that they went to quite often was the Zanzibar, and that was on 14th Street, in between U and W, or U and V. And next to that was the waffle shop. And the waffle shop was where I, many mornings, would have my breakfast because my dad, he would, and this is when I was going to St. Augustine elementary school. But the waffle shop, he would drop me there after dropping my mother at her workplace, and I'd go in, and and all the waitresses, they knew me because I was a regular, and they always, took care of me. And then when I finished my breakfast, then I'd walk a couple of blocks down to St. Augustine. Now, St. Augustine was it was an all black elementary Catholic school, and that was in between 14th and 15th, between R and S, a little side street. Now, that's changed now because the school and the church are now further up on 15th Street at 15th and I guess that's W
It's
or
V. It's V
15th and
Street.
B.
Mhm.
But life was good. Uh, I had the city, and that was the city for me, was that area. And I lived on 8th Street Northwest, again between Mount Vernon and L Street. Now, you wouldn't be able to see my home now, the house that my parents had, because that's where the convention center is now. So, but when I go by there, I think a lot about uh, what my life was like living on 8th Street and walking 7th Street and North 9th Street, and yeah, it was an enjoyable period, So
What were some of the things that you did as a boy, as growing up? Like some of the activities that you were
yeah,
involved
yeah.
in?
Well, growing up, I. I I like playing baseball, so I uh, starting in probably late April, May, and going into September, I was playing baseball. I played on the baseball team at St. Augustine. I also played basketball, and again, a kind of a historical thing. We practice at the 12th Street Y, and I think it's still there. Uh,
Yes, it is. It's the Thurgood Marshall Y.
uh-huh. Yeah, well, it was a 12th Street Y, and a whole lot of outstanding basketball players from the DC area. That's where they played. That's where they learned how to play basketball, and I can remember how in that gym it was a tight spot, and so you learned to be careful when if you were driving to the basket because you could get slammed into the wall. There was a bit of padding, but that was still you took your life in your hands, when you did that. But and uh, and I played on a lot of different baseball fields. Played down on the grounds where near the White House, and then we played at a lot of neighborhood playgrounds. I can remember playing a lot of baseball at Taft Junior High. So so that I did that, and then I spent, as I got a little older, got into high school, and of course I went to John Carroll High School, which was in uh, up off of Harewood Road, off of near North Capitol, and yeah, those were life was wonderful when you were, a teenager. At least for me, it was.
I wanted to just give folks some information and to correct what I said about the 12th Street YMCA. It was also known as the Anthony Bowen
Yes.
YMCA,
Mhm.
and it was founded in 1853 by Anthony Bowen. It's located, if you're looking for it, at 1816 12th Street in the U Street corridor. And it was reopened in 2020 as the Thurgood Marshall Center. And it really is a wonderful place to visit. And if you are in DC, I want to encourage you to visit the John Henrik Clark Enhanced History Project, which was created by African American scholar Anthony Browder, who's also an author, and go and see the contributions that people of Kemet or Egypt. Kemet is the land of the black. That is the original name that they have made to civilization and how their contributions are duplicated in America and this the power of our legacy as people of African descent. It is an amazing, amazing, amazing project. And Dr. Henry Clark, John Henry Clark, is an amazing ancestor now. He contributed so much to our understanding and to our history as people of African descent in the Americas. So that's just a little plug. I wanted
Yeah,
to go ahead.
yeah, I also want to make a little connection. We had this father-daughter conversation, and I grew up uh, in that area I was talking about, and was up on U Street, and that has been a revitalized area. And now, my daughter Ananda lives on the corner of 16th and U Street, and has been living there 30 years now. And so it's really nice, the fact that we uh, we have been able to share uh, that as a community in which I spent a lot of time, and now she is spending time there and is very proud to be a resident of the historical U Street area. So,
Yes, and I've been here 35 years, actually, this August, 2025, 35 years. And one of the reasons why I became a homeowner in the U Street corridor is because of the stories that I heard from my grandparents and from my Aunt Pauline Roberts and from my parents about the power of this community. You spent time at the Florida Avenue Grill as well.
but not nearly as much as I did the Zanzibar and the Waffle Shop and the theaters. That has the Florida Street Grill is another um, historical place
Mhm.
where particularly black folks did, and now tourists come and they want to they want to have it. A meal at the Florida Street Grill just to say, "Woo, yes, I made it there." Much like other historical spots, and some of them, are still there, like the Industrial Bank of Washington, Lee's Flower Shop. Those are places that were in existence when I was growing up, and they're still there.
Yeah, and your father, my grandfather, John Leeke, when he retired from the post office, he worked at part-time for Lee Flowers, delivering flowers.
Yeah, yeah. So
So, it's wonderful to see that some of the families like the Ali family that owns Ben Chili Bowl, that they're still in the neighborhood and the industrial bank is still there and Florida Avenue Grill is still here. And of course, St. Augustine's Catholic Church, the oldest Black Catholic church in Washington, D.C., is still in the neighborhood. Uh,
yeah.
I encourage everybody, if you want to know more about uh, Black Broadway, that's what they call it, U Street. They refer to U Street as Washington's own Harlem Renaissance. They compare it to that. Do some Google research. There are a number of books out. I can't call the names of the books right now, but there are a number of places that you can check out. I also want to call attention to the African American Civil War Museum that's
Yes.
here. And there's so many placards along the streets, on the side streets as well as the main street, that give you the history of people of African descent that have made a way and continue to make a way. So, is there anything else that you want to say before we sign off, Dr. John?
No, but I just like to let folks know that when I was growing up, uh, I I rarely came across white people, um, because the the neighborhood was clearly all black. I just can't hardly recall having any white neighbors. I did have the occasion because the pastor of St. Augustine's, Monsignor Gingras, and Father Joyce, and then the priest over at St. Martin's, where I spent a lot of time because that's where we socialized with the Martin Club. But for the most part, it was a black world that I existed in. And of course, later Washington became known as Chocolate City. But uh, I, when I stop and think about um, how much that my life uh, grew up clearly knowing who I was as a black person, as a black child, and now as a black man, and all of what uh, that has meant to me and has made me who I am. So, yeah.
One thing I do want to touch on while we're here is that you said you didn't have much contact with any white people except through the church, in your activities as a baseball, basketball player, because you all did play in the CYO
Yeah.
leagues, and you met white students through those activities. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when I, graduate or left uh, St. Augustine, and then went to John Carroll High School, which was a integrated high school, and that's where um, a lot of some of the men or boys at that time, um, we were we played baseball, basketball against each other, and so I knew a lot of the guys even before I started attending Archbishop Carroll High School.
Okay. That's one thing I wanted to point out.
Yeah,
So, with that, everybody, if you want to know more about Dr. John F. Leake's life, pick up a copy of American Change Agent, A Life and Legacy of Seeking Diversity, Equality, and Inclusion. Go to anandaleek.com/Dr. John to learn how you can purchase the book on IngramSpark, Barnes and Noble, and Amazon.com. We encourage you to buy the book directly from IngramSpark because as self-publishers, we earn more money when you buy directly from IngramSpark. Please sign up when you get to that page for our newsletter. We will send more information out about events and any other special information that we have regarding our book. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
bye bye.